Well, the next guy began playing in Calgary, where his father was transferred. The Toronto Maple Leafs signed Garry Unger to a C-form contract in the days before the creation of the early draft. That must be some kind of code that we don't know about. But Garry didn't know what was in store for him. He only played 15 games with the Maple Leafs when he was told he was going to be traded to the Detroit Red Wings in the 67-68 season. He played with the Wings until, of course, another trade came up in February of 1971 when he was traded with Tim Ecclestone and Wayne Conley for Red Berenson, who had had great years here, and it wasn't the most popular trade in the world, but at that point, it was certainly the right trade to make, as Red had just a couple of more years, and of course, Garry became the Iron Man of hockey and one of the greatest Blues of all time. He became known as Mr. Iron Man. He never missed a game, and until December 22nd, 1979, then he was playing with the Atlanta Flames. He participated in 914 consecutive NHL games, breaking Andy Hebenton's record of 630 in the process. Of course, it's been topped now, but it was a tremendous, tremendous record that he created. Towards the end of his career, he came to realize that perhaps the best success came too early in Toronto, and the best thing that ever happened to him, I believe, was coming to St. Louis and creating a career here. His statistics are incredible. In 1983, he retired. He played in 1,105 games. He scored 413 goals, 391 assists, 804 total points. You would think that would get you into the National Hockey League Hall of Fame, wouldn't you? Maybe so. Ladies and gentlemen, Garry Unger was, with that flashing blonde hair, driving down the ice. He was being oogled by every young lady in St. Louis as he played the game and led this team, but he played it hard, and he was certainly the heart of the Blues. Garry Unger.
Well, it's a wig. How many times can you have a party with friends? This has been a great week for me. I don't get an opportunity to get back to St. Louis very much. Anytime I can, I do. I've stayed in touch with a few guys here, Bruce Affleck, Larry Patey, Mike Zook is here tonight. You know, all the testament to St. Louis itself is the amount of guys that have stayed here and lived here. I didn't get that opportunity to do that. I was still growing and still moving and still moving on in hockey. After I left St. Louis, I went to Atlanta, and then I went to Edmonton, and I actually ended up playing overseas in Dundee, Scotland for a year. Played in Peterborough. I got involved in coaching over there. But as a boy growing up, everybody wants to play in the National Hockey League. Everybody wants to have an opportunity to take this game and do what they can with it. And that's exciting. It starts off with a curiosity. When you're 3 years old, all the guys sitting here, guys in this room, it might not be 3, it might be 10, it might be 20. I'm sure there's some guys here that started skating late in life. And it starts off with a curiosity about the game. Then it turns into play. And you go and you play. Get out on the road, you get on the rink, and once a boy finds out the game of hockey and the fun that they can have, there's no other sport. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. My dad put skates on when I was 3 years old. And that curiosity was tweaked, it turned into play, and then it becomes a passion. At 5 years old, I knew that I wanted to play hockey. I either wanted to play hockey or be a cowboy. And St. Louis allowed me to do both. I came into town here, and I've met a lot of people here in the last week or so that said, you're not my favorite player, I like Red Berenson. I like Red Berenson too, but He came back. But it's almost like I grew up with everybody. And there's some young people in this room that maybe their parents have told them about the old Blues teams. Bob Plager and Bart Plager and Billy Plager. I think even, Bobby, did your dad play a couple of games with us? The whole family's been on the ice at one time or another with this team, but it's a family. It was a family when I came here. I was quite young. Before I got here, I was playing with Detroit. I got traded to the Detroit Red Wings from Toronto. I'd already been traded twice before I was 20 years old, so I was kind of questioning the fact of whether I was going to make it or not. But I got a chance to play in St. Louis against the Blues, and Noel Picard and Bobby Plager were both defense partners playing on the ice. I was 170 pounds, and every time I went in front of the net, I got a whack, and it was this arm and that arm and a cross check. And I went back to the bench and I thought, if I'm going to play 20 years, I'm not going to let these guys be whacking me for 20 years. The puck went down, and I don't know whether you remember this pick or not, but the puck went down to that end. Pick whacked me on the back. I turned around. The play had gone the other way, and I dropped my gloves. And I was standing there, and there was Noel Picard, the mountain. I thought, okay, we'll find out. Noel came through with a punch, and I moved over, and I remember thinking, his fist is the same size as my head. If he'd have hit me, I'd have still been out. I waited. Luckily, the referees came down. I deked around a little bit, popped him in the nose, and then I hung on. So that was my first meeting with Noel Picard. Little did I know that a year later I'd be playing with him. Bobby Plager, we got into the same thing in front of the net. There was a big scrum in front of the net. There was sticks all over the place. And I'm standing toe-to-toe to Bobby Plager. And Bobby Plager winds up, and I go like this. I step back on a stick, fell as Bobby came right through, and his fist stopped right there. And I fell over. And anybody watching it looked like I was out cold, but I had just slipped on the stick and never got hit by Bobby. So I had some Blues memories before I even came to St. Louis. But while I was in St. Louis, I'm seeing Al and Susie Matthews. Rhonda's here. I played with John Wensick. All the guys that are involved with the Blues, what the Blues have done for hockey in this area. They're, some of the guys that are drafted from here and playing minor hockey here. It's just incredible. Winterland, I think, was the only rink that they had when we first came in here, and I bet you there wasn't 100 kids playing hockey at that time. So the Amateur Hockey Association, what you guys have done and what you've come through, and now they're drafting guys from St. Louis, it's amazing. And I'm just really proud to be a part of that. And after that passion, it turns into a little bit of a career or a legacy. And I got an opportunity to be able to do that. Every kid would love one chance to just play one game, score one goal, skate out on that rink one time. And I got to do it for a career. What do you say? I had a sister that was 5 years younger than me that had polio, could never skate, could never walk. And I got the opportunity to play a game that I love. I watched her grow up. She was a strong girl, but she has a family now. She has a couple kids, but she gave me a lot of strength as far as the little injuries. And I'm not the only guy that, they talk about the Iron Man streak. Every guy that plays the game hurt all the time. I was just fortunate enough not to break my leg or somewhere that would keep me out of the game. It's really funny. I broke my nose 11 times. I actually didn't. Somebody else broke it for me. I never lost a tooth. I separated my shoulder. I broke my wrist. I probably got 200 stitches on my face. Broke my cheekbone twice. But I was sitting watching a game, and this is an Al McGinnis story. I'm watching a game, I lose track because I played without a helmet. But I'm watching the game, and they're talking about Al McGinnis broke his ribs. And I'm thinking, geez, I've never had that. I wonder what that feels like. Punctured a lung, too, at the same time. It was back early. And I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder what that feels like. That's something that I haven't had. That summer, I got into a motorcycle accident up in the mountain, and I punctured my lung and broke my ribs. So now I know what it feels like. So, you know, the career and the time that you're allowed to spend a city that accepts you, that allows you to be here and get married. My wife and I, Bev is from Canada. My two oldest girls were born here, Kim and Jamie. They both live in Phoenix now. My youngest daughter was born in Edmonton at the end of my career. But to the people that we've met and the places that we've gone, and you know, the excitement for me is to meet people that say, you know, you're one of the reasons I watch hockey. You're one of the reasons I go to the Blues games. When I was a kid, I wore number 7. I might have been Red Berenson, but you're one of the guys. So it's a wonderful honor for me. You know, this Spirit Award, growing up, we kind of go through a little stage where if everything's going your way, it's great. And we're made up of our body, where we take care of it. We go to the gym, we skate every day, we come to the rink, we go for an hour and a half, and then we're working on our body. And then we go for the mind, and we go to school, and we get a PhD. You know what PhD means? A pile higher and deeper. You do that, and you work on that. The spirit part of it, we think, is just going to kind of take care of itself. And it took me, and one of the reasons why I left St. Louis and got traded to Atlanta was I was going through a time when I was wondering what the spirit part of it was all about. And in 1977, we used to have a big party at our farm every year. And my neighbor was a hog farmer, and we'd invite all the people out to the place. I think Larry was there. I know Bruce Affleck was there for sure. And I had a bunch of motorcycles and a bunch of horses, and the guys would come out and just spend the afternoon and the evening, and we'd have a big pig roast. And about a month before that, we were playing Minnesota in the playoffs. We were actually, we went 7 games with Minnesota. We had lost the 6th game, or the 5th game in Minnesota. They were up 3-2, and we were coming back to St. Louis. We had to win the game in St. Louis and then go back to Minnesota if we won the game in St. Louis. And at the old arena, there was a runway at the bottom where we went in the back door, and all the kids would be there waiting for autographs. And when you're going to the game, you're trying to get ready for the game. And you normally see these kids coming out the other side when you're coming at nighttime. So you say, well, you know, once the game's over, I'll sign your autographs for you, but I got to get in and play the game. And as I was walking through this particular time, and it was a defining moment in my life, a kid was standing in the corner, and he said to me, "Do you know where you're going to spend eternity?" And I said, "Hey, I got a game to play. Don't bother me with that stuff." We played the game. We won that game. We went into St. Louis, or went into Minnesota. We won that game in overtime. Danny O'Shea scored in overtime. We came back to the airport. There was 10,000 people at the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. And a month later, from that time, we had this party. The guys were all flying around. We had drinks and booze and pop and whatever the guys needed. But hockey guys can get a little bit crazy sometimes. And about 6 o'clock, I saw Bobby Gassoff trying to start one of the motorcycles. Bobby Plager was there too. And I went over to Bobby and I said, listen, Bobby, I don't know how much you've been drinking, but I'd like you to not drive the motorcycle. At the same time, somebody came over to me and said, listen, we need some more pop and stuff. We got to get the meal going. And I left Bobby. About a half an hour later, I'm there, and everybody that I knew was really at the party. And I got a phone call. And when the phone call came, it was like I didn't want to take it, but I knew I had to. It was kind of a second sense. And the guy on the other end said, it was a Missouri State Troopers, and the guy on the other end said, do you know Bobby Gassoff? And I said, is he okay? And he wouldn't say anything. And right away, that kid's face came. Do you know where you're going to spend eternity? I didn't. And Bobby was gone. One of my best friends, the toughest guy I ever played with in the National Hockey League. He was as tough as Bob Plager, Noel Picard. You can ask any of these guys. This guy was one of the toughest guys in the league. Bob was right there with him. We were young, and we were indestructible. And all of a sudden, he's gone. And that was a defining moment for me to find the spiritual part of my life. And this Spirit Award for me is something very special. I'm not religious one bit. I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ that changed my life. It doesn't change anything other than the fact that I'm trying to be as good a father, good a husband as I possibly can. It changed my marriage. It changed my relationship with my kids. And it's brought me to a point where I realize that, yeah, hockey's great, but my relationship with God is far more important to me. I'm still involved in hockey. I work with the Banff Hockey Academy in Banff, Alberta. We have 4 teams. We have a girls' team this year. They're actually in the playoffs this weekend. I had to miss the game to come down here. But I'm still allowed to coach and mentor young people. And just about everybody mentioned it up here. The greatest thing about the game is the people that you meet and the places that it takes you. I've been allowed to play hockey in 25 different countries. And if I hadn't played hockey, I'd probably still be living in Calgary working at the car wash. So I just thank you for being a part of my life, allowing me to be part of the legacy of the Blues, all my teammates that I played with, the times that we had, the hockey part, when we had that curiosity and we wanted to play, it wasn't for awards. It wasn't for trophies. It was for a lifetime. And I thank you for allowing me to be part of St. Louis history. Thanks.